Okay, welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. We are going today to have a shorter Shiur recorded, then we're going to cut it, then the other half will be sent tomorrow. Soon you'll understand why. We are learning this Shiur is above Metzia Daf Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. We are before the Mishnah. I would revise what we started yesterday. Ezu Oishik Vezu Gezel. It's a few lines, about 10 lines or even more before the Mishnah. The line starts with the word Shem Schirus Be'alma. Shem Schirus. Then we have the question Ezu Oishik Vezu Gezel. The topic of the Shiur, yeah, you have it. Ezu Oishik Vezu Gezel. Yeah, it's a few lines above the word Matnitin in the Gemara. And the Shiur, the whole topic today, the topic is keeping at bay and delaying payment. What happens when you delay payment? Good morning, good morning. You have a paper over there. Yeah, you all have you have papers which are going to help you for the second part of the sugya. Ezu oishik ve'ezu gezel. We're talking here about a person who basically holds back someone else's money, the money of a worker, which is a very severe thing. Let's read the psukim before we continue into the Gemara. Ezu oishik ve'ezu gezel. Yeah, I'm reading the psukim now. You have it in your papers and you have it online in front of you on the screen. The psukim, by the way, are not quoted with the right spelling because I added vav, in order to make it more readable. That's all. Says the first pasuk in Vayikra Yotes in Parshas Kedoshim. Lo tasha kesrecha v'lo tigzol. That's very important to understand. There are two types of theft. Oishik and gezel are theft, and when you hold back someone's your babysitter's money or the painter's money that he painted your house, you babysat your kids, and you hold it back, you are basically a thief. There's no nicer word for that. And there are two separate isurim which we're going to analyze soon. Oshek and gezel. There are two forms of theft when you hold back the money. That's kind of very nice. And then continues the pasuk, loitolin pe'ula sachi yitchad boiker. What does loitolin mean? As we said yesterday, his pe'ula, the work of his hands, the painted house, the combed shaitel, whatever your wife has, loy talin should not stay with you overnight until the morning. What does that mean? It means that if the person worked all day long, you pay him all night. You don't pay him all night long, but you still may pay him. It's pay time after finish the job at shkia. Now the whole night is pay time. It's okay to pay him then, should pay him then, and you're not over anything until the morning. If the morning came, oopsa, then you're over the Easter of loy tolin. Tolin means it stayed over the money stayed overnight with you, and also the painted house is with you that is not balanced, and then you're over an Easter de oraisa of lav loy tolin. Yeah, okay. So there are three lavim. So cool. Lo tashok, lo tigzo, lo tolin. From people don't know that. You may akiv your babysitter's money. You may akiv your translator's money. Nothing. Yeah. Then what? Nothing personal. Then you're over three lavim doraisa. Very nice. So you buy your fancy esrog. Just realize you're over three lavim, maybe even four. I'm not saying it's a Torah, not me. Then comes a second set of psukim. It's really, really important that we know the psukim well. Otherwise, we're going to get lost. Second set of psukim is in Dvarim Chavdalid. We recently read it in the parsha. Lo tashuk schar sochir oni ve'evyoin. Here it talks again. Lo tashuk, don't steal. The sechar of oni ve'evyoin. These are two types of poor people. As we're going to see, it does not only apply to poor people. Yeah, even if a Jewish millionaire, I don't know, Rothschild, Reichman, painted your house for money, you still have to pay them on time. We're going to discuss why poor man is mentioned. Me'achecha, from your brother and your brethren. Omigercha asher be'artzecha, from the gerim that the converts, ger toishav. We're going to discuss different kinds of gerim that live in your country, bisharech, in your land. Here comes the mitzvahs aseh, as opposed to before. Now, in addition to before, the lota aseh, there's mitzvahs aseh, beyoyim titan schoroi. You have to give him the sechar during the day. This, by the way, is talking about a different kind of poil. The guy worked all night long. When are you supposed to pay him? The day after. They pay day or pay night is always the 12 hours after he finished the job. Give him the sechar on time during the day. What's the lota aseh? The sun should not set on you and the money together. Once there was sunset and you were supposed to pay him all day long, and you hit sunset, the nasty bell rings, deadline. Now you're over an Isser loy tov olav hashemesh, right? and you broke the aseh b'yom titan schorei. Continues the Torah again, ki onihu, because he's poor. The elav noises nafshoi. Yeah, people ask me why. Here the Torah says why. What's noises nafshoi in nice English is yearning for that. His nefesh, his soul, is yearning for the money. He needs to put bread on the table. Even if he's rich, so what? He worked hard. Now he wants to be paid. Don't delay it. If you don't have the money, that's something else we discuss and we'll discuss later. If you have the money and you just hold it because you're sadist, or because I'm sorry, some people are. I'm sorry. You want to feel powerful? Here's your money. I'm not giving it to you, as we said. Or because you just, you have other things on your agenda, then that's not nice. It's 4 or 5 Yisur D'Oraisa. Lest he calls upon you to Hashem, he will cry to Hashem about you, and you'll have the sin. These are the psukim. Okay, it's good to read, keep it, read it, and then we're going to deal with the psukim. What we're going to do now, what the Bryce is going to do now, is explain the difference between the first two items mentioned in the first pasuk, lo tashok versus lo tigzol. What's the difference between these two types of holding back the money in a way defined by the Torah as nothing but theft? The Torah is not politically correct, the Torah is just telling you this is theft, So now let's see what the Gemara says about that. Ezu oishik ve'ezu gezel. The Brisa wants to know ezu oishik ve'ezu gezel. Although these are now Amoyroim talking, not the Brisa. Amav Chizda, Rav Chizda and Amoyro comes and gives us the answer as follows: lech v'shoiv zeu oishik. If the person gives you nice fluffy excuses and he says, go back tomorrow, come tomorrow, come back, Aina hair every day, he's telling you, come and tomorrow give the salary, and it goes back and forth. That's called oishek. As opposed to yesh lecha beyodi ve'eni noisen lecha. This is a quote, so to speak, of what the Baal Abai says. I have it in my hands, and I'm not giving it to you. I'm outright nasty. I'm not giving you the salary that you deserve. Why? Because I'm more powerful than you. Zehu gezel. That's called gezel. Why? Why is that oishek and that gezel? Explains Rashi. Although the lav of loy tigzoil, applies to this kind of holding back money, we also know, and not stealing mamish, we know from other places that the word gezel means aggressive physical theft, to grab something from someone else. What does it say? That in the Navi, it says, he snatched, he took the chonis, the spear from the hand of the Egyptian. So we know that gezel means to snatch, to take. So gezel is always more, we're going to see that throughout the whole sugya, gezel is always a more aggressive form of theft than oishek. Oishek will always be like a little bit more white collar crime, and gezel is more blue collar. Both of them are talking about a person who holds back the money. True. So he holds back the money with a big smile. Of course, I feel so bad. These people, once they say, I feel so bad, they can do whatever they want, right? I feel so bad tomorrow. Oh, excuse me tomorrow. Pardon me tomorrow. Oh, really, really? Yes, I have to do tomorrow. And that guy is Isser Derais of Oishek. He's a more gentle guy. The one who says, I have it, I'm not giving it to you, that is Gezel. That's a more aggressive form. That's Gezel. Okay? This is what Rav Chizda says. Maskifler Rav Sheshes. Now comes a whole new factor to the sugya. The factor is, excuse me, there is another pasuk which is not in your chart. That pasuk we discussed at length in the past. The pasuk that describes a person that has to bring Asham Gezelos. What's Asham Gezelos? Asham Gezelos, there's one word that goes throughout the whole story of Asham Gezelos. That is a lie, which means it says that Nefesh Ketechto Molamal V'kichesh Ba'amitoy B'pikodoin. A person who lied about a deposit. I deposited money in the hands of Ploini. Ploini lies and says, no, you never deposited anything in my hands. And he swears about it in Beis Din l'sheker. Then he admits it. He has to pay me the original, the principal plus choimish, which is really a quarter, and bring a korban. Now, that pikodon with a lie, a person held back with a lie in his mouth, has 5 different versions. There are 5 different items, or not items. There are 5 different reasons why it's in his hands illegally. Either he found it, he found the Veda, and he denies. I lent him, and he denies. Pikodon deposited, or our good friend schar sochir. In other words, the schar sochir, one or even two, that's the question, of the items mentioned in Osham of the kichish of person who lies, and he lied and he was nishba with a laila sheker, that is called what? The Torah uses the term over there. It says gezel or oshak, gezel or oshak, gezel or isto. So you see that the words gezel and oshek, which we're trying to figure out over here, are mentioned in a very different context of a lie, not a person. These two people were described, the sweet, fluffy excuses guy that says, "Oh, tomorrow, I'm so sorry. Yes, 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 it's coming in a week. Yeah, yeah." He's not lying. He admits that he owes, but he's oh so sorry. The other guy is an aggressive. I owe you. I don't care. I'm not paying you because he's not lying. None of them is lying, right? And yet the Torah does define Gezel and Oishek as people who lie and just say, it's not mine. It's not there. Yeah, nothing ever happened. So how do you live with that? Although I told you the whole question, the Gemara is going to dissect the question into two parts. Now let's read. Maskiflo Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes is now attacking, challenging Rav Chizda. Ezu oishek shechiyav alav Torah korban. Which is the oishek that the Torah told you that you have to give korban if you lied about it? Dumya de pikodoin de kakofer lemamoino. Just like pikodon. If you look in the Torah there, in Vayikra, yeah, in Vayikra, Parakeh in Vayikra, it says over there, the kichesh ba'amitoi bepikodon, oy betzumet yad, oy begezel, be'oishek. A person lied about holding back gezel or oishek. So that does make sense, right? In other words, let's not talk about gezel now. Let's talk about oishek. Rav Sheshes was only concerned about oishek. How can it's a question of definition, of dictionary, of translating. Why did you translate oishek to be the guy who's all smiling? So sorry, tomorrow, next week, when my grandmother's second cousin, once removed, is going to marry off his grandson, I'll pay you. No, the Torah says that's what's oishek, a person who lies and says, you never did the job for me. That painted wall, it's not you. So how do you reconcile that? You're wrong. This is a brisa, and you're an Amora. Yeah, how do you understand that, Rav Sheshes? Excuse me. How do you understand that, Rav Chizda? Rav Sheshes is attacking Rav Chizda. Ella, by the way, Gezel we ignore now. Gezel is also a problem. If you cheshbonos, Gezel is also an issue. Why? Because Gezel, really, we said is what? His God says, I'm not giving you. And the Torah seems to be saying what? It's a guy who lies and says, I never owe you anything. Leave that aside. That we're leaving aside, leave it in the back burner. Elam Rav Sheshes. Therefore, Rav Sheshes is redefining Oishek and Gezel. Have two boxes in your heads. Oishek and Gezel, how do we translate those terms? Elam Rav Sheshes. Nesativ lecha, if the person lies, it's all about lying. Nesativ lecha zeu Oishek. If he says, what? Yeah, I know you painted my house. I paid you. I paid you. You forgot? Do you have amnesia? You want to go to the psychiatrist? I paid you. And he's lying. And he knows that he's lying. And eventually he'll admit that in Beth Din after he nishba l'sheker lo leinu. But right now he's lying, saying, I gave you. That is oishek. That is oishek. It's a lie. It's a complete, wholesome lie. Nothing ever happened. Yeah? Nesativ lecho. I gave you. That is oishek. What is gzela? Gzela is a bit more aggressive, which means yesh lecha beyodi ve'eni noisen lecha zeu gezel. Gezel is what? I have it, and I'm not giving you. That's gezel. Now that's very difficult, right? Because the same pasuk that tells us that everything is about denial also mentions gezel, and yet Rav Sheshes is really telling us gezel is a guy who doesn't deny. We're not denying anything. Yeah, here's your money. You piece of ha 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 ha. You sat in my place today in Shachris? Oy vey, I'm not paying you your salary, right? Yeah, okay, whatever. Your child hit my child yesterday when they're playing soccer. I'm not paying you. He's not lying. He's aggressive. So now leave that question aside. But at least Oishek we are okay with, right? We're okay with Oishek. Why? Oishek doesn't mean a person who's giving you excuses. Oishek, as the Torah says, kichesh. Remember the one word kichesh, he lied. Oishek is a guy who lied. What did he lie? He says, I paid, I gave you already. And then he admitted in Beth Din that it was a lie after Shvuah Oleinu. And then he has to pay Chamesh V'Osham. Maskif la'abaye. Now Abaye is attacking Rav Sheshes. Yeah, Rav Sheshes attacked Rav Chizda. Abaye, in his turn, is now attacking Rav Sheshes' words. He challenges Rav Sheshes. I prefer to say attack. Paskifla Abaye, Ezu Gezel, same brisa. Read on the brisa, please. Read on the brisa, Rav Sheshes. Ezu Gezel Shechia Balavatoy Korban. What kind of gezela mentioned in Vayikra Hey is one of the five stars, 5 types of lies, monetary, financial related lies that you have to pay korban for. Which one is gezel out of the 5? Dumya de pikodoin ba'inan. It has to be similar to pikodoin, the kakofer le'mamoino, that he lied about money. The one word you have to remember in that posuk is vekichesh. All 5 stories, either it's a lost object in my hands, the hands of the liar, yeah, not me, yeah, or salary or whatever, it's a lie. Kichesh, no, nothing, and I don't owe you anything. So how do you manage that? Excuse me, Rav Sheshes, what did you gain? Because when you say gezel, you tell me gezel means the guy says I'm not paying you. How could that be? No, the guy says I owe you, but I'm not paying you. He's not lying. He's a mechutzaf. Chutzpah and sheker are 2 opposites usually. Yeah, he's not meshaker. He's outright. Yeah, admit I'm not paying you. How do you live with that, Rav Sheshes? Elomar Abaye. Therefore, Abaye is now dealing with both boxes, Oishek and Gezel, to explain how both of them are different types of lies. Not excuses and not an aggressive approach. It's 2 types of lies. Elomar Abaye. Lo ischarticha me'oilom zeu Oishek. If the person says, it's not a, you painted my house? I can't recall such a thing. I'm sorry. No, he knows he's lying. Eventually admit it. He's a very good liar, straight face. He never painted my house. That peach and strawberry color that I have in the kitchen that my wife, that's someone else. It's not you. Honey, do you know who painted the house? Not you. So that is an oishek. Why? Because he doesn't admit bichlal to owe anything. It's a global, broader kind of lie, which is more like oishek. It's more white collar. In other words, excuse the pun, yeah? It's more of a general lie. I have nothing to do with you. However, nesativ lecha zehu gezel. But if he says, yeah, of course, you did a great job. What an amazing painter you are. I'll recommend you in 10 email lists. You're amazing. I gave you the money yesterday. You forgot? I gave you the money. That's gezela. Why? It seems to be less aggressive, but it's not. It's more pinpointed. If he admits that there is money involved, he admits, we spoke on the phone over me paying you 1,200 shekels. And yes, I owed you. So it's referring to specific money, $1,200, let's say, or shekels, yeah. And I'm telling you, I gave you, it's more gezela, because it's more directed and more to the point, more pinpoint and more particular, that's gezel. If the lie is more general, I have nothing to do with you, that's oishek. It's more of like a, it's more whitewashing it. Now, okay, so Lamaisa, we're okay with that. We're happy with Abaye. So Bekitzer, Gezel, let's summarize. Both Gezel and Oshik mentioned in the Torah regarding Schar Sochir and regarding Schar Sochir that the person lied about as prescribed in a different place at the end of Parshas Vayikra. And it says over there are 5 types of people who hold back someone else's money through lies. 2 of them are Oshik. Yeah, 2 of them are Oshik and Gezel. Oshik and Gezel are 2 types of lies of different ideas, different ways of a person who lies and tells you, I don't owe you the money. Well, it really does owe you the money. So we're happy and we're good. So far, so good. Now the Gemara goes back to Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes is still very, very hard to understand. Because what did Rav Sheshes say? Regarding Oishek, he said what? Oishek means really a white lie. Yeah, Oishek means a lie. He says not such a white lie, it's a real lie. Yeah, he says, I don't have to pay you. Why? He's really, I gave you already. And Gezel is not a lie. Gezel is holding and saying, oh, no, I'm not paying you. Here's the money. You're not getting it. Yes, it's right here. That's not a lie. And the Pasuk did say, Oishek, Gezel, the Kichesh, with a lie. Rav Sheshes, what's going on here? Yeah, we didn't resolve that point. It's Rav Sheshes talking. Crack the Gemara. Well, Rav Sheshes, Maishna Oishek de Kashele, Umaishna Gezel de Loi Kashele. Why is it by Oishek he found it difficult and he found an answer that Oishek means a lie? By Gezel he had no problem and he stayed with the original Pshat of Rav Chizda that really when it comes to Gezel, it's not a lie, but this is actually outright aggressive, I'm not giving you in your face. How come? The Torah says, "V'kichesh." I'm sorry. Amar lecho. Rav Shesha says an answer. Amar lecho. Gezel. There are two. There are two steps, two stages, two chapters to that very sad story. There are many chapters. We're not going to start from the time he called him and wanted to paint his house for Yom Kippur. Yeah. But let's say there are two stages. There's before Beis Din and after Beis Din, or during Beis Din. So now, at the beginning, when he got the phone call, can you please pay me? What did you do? That's stage one. Secondly, I'm taking you to Beis Din, you liar, you aggressive, you something. And then he swore in Beis Din, right? That's what he said outside Beis Din. I don't know if you know, science fiction, people change their version in Beis Din. Yeah, they tell you one thing outside Beis Din. Once they come to Beis Din, yeah, the person is, basically stunned with his jaw on the floor. The other side is telling a different story from what he told the other guy before. And that's what's happening over here. Amar Lecho says Rav Sheshes as follows. We're going to get nice and slow. Gezel, the story of Gezel is as follows. The Gazle, at the beginning, he was Gezel, and he says, I'm not paying you. Here is the money with the envelope. I'm not paying you, you piece of loyalenu, of Klumnik. I'm not paying you. The Hadar Kafre, he came to Beis Din. As I'm going to say that in Beis Din. Beis Din has 3 Dayonim, white beards. He wants to have good name. So there he says, nothing doing, nothing happened. He's not saying I owe him. He changed his version. Instead of being the aggressive mechutzaf, he became a liar. He was koifer. And by the way, what's the pinnacle? What's the most dramatic point in the story? It was nishma l'sheker. It was nishma to Beis Din that he paid already, right? That's good. Says Mimela, says Rav Sheshes, I can reconcile everything. I'm right, and the pasuk is right. Excuse me for phrasing it that way. In other words, gezel. Yes, gezel means holding back, because that's what gezel means. Gezel means an aggressive. I'm not paying you, and the pasuk says that he lied. Both happened. Read the whole novel. That's chapter 1. That's chapter 2. Yeah. In other words, at the beginning was goizel. The Torah was mechayv on all versions, all kinds of chib. You can ask why the Torah talks about all cases. We actually discussed that in the past. We're not going there now. We have enough on our plate. But the Maisa first he says, Later in Bezin says nothing happened. He never painted, or I paid him already, and I swear that I paid him already. And then he broke and he admitted that he never paid. Okay, so now it's good. It's a real aggressive gzela, and then followed by a lie. All is good. Break the Gemara. The Gemara is not giving up. Wow, that's a great answer of Sheshes. If so, afilo oishik nami dadar kafrei. So why can't you say the same thing about oishik? You're of Sheshes attacked. You attacked Rav Huna, right? You attacked Rav Chizda, excuse me. You can say the same thing about oishik. You have such a really tremendous idea that we can say about oishik the same thing. At the beginning, oishik is the guy who told him what to tell him tomorrow, mañana, tomorrow, machar. And then he already then the person says, I'm taking to Beis Din. You missed her tomorrow. It's Beis Din or nothing, says the worker. He came to Beis Din and then he lied. And then he says, I paid him or never happened, whatever. Yeah, why can't you say that? Why didn't Rav Sheshes accept that? Yeah, that formula, just like it works for Gezel, can work for Oishik too. Now we get into the language and it's easy. And says the Gemara, Hachi Ashta. Hachi Ashta means, can you compare? Whenever the Gemara says Hachi Ashta, it's breaking in comparison. It's differentiating between things. Bishlam Hosam Ksiv Oy Be Gezel. There's a difference between what we call verb and a noun. The Torah says gezel, meaning there is gezel here. There's a noun already. There was gezel done. There was theft done. Michlal de oidile meikore. That is when the Torah says he lied about a gezel, meaning now in Beis Din he's lying about a stolen object. What do you mean stolen? Another stole it from his house. That oidile, he admitted and held it against his will. I'm holding your money, I'm not paying you. There is gezel done. Then I lied about the gezel, about the noun, about the object called gezel, the stolen money, meaning held in my hand, I'm not paying you what you deserve. But oishek doesn't say oishek as an abstract noun, oishek theft. It says he stole. In other words, the Torah describes the person as a person who stole. Right from the start, he stole and never did anything else. What did he mean he stole? Right from the start till the end, it's all the same action through and through. the person all the time was oshek. He made excuses. He never lied. He made excuses. And even when he swore in Beth Din, he swore not that nothing happened. He swore what? He was oshek. That actually, what's he swearing about? He swears. Actually, I'm trying to think now. When a shokokva, he already was oishekim. But then, so what is the nishba about? Yeah, oishek siv. So then he comes to Beth Din. No. Of course. No. That's good what Rav Sheshes is saying. That by Oishek, we're talking about a person who says, I never hired you right from the start. He didn't give excuses. The other way. Right, thank you. That's what I want to tell me. Oishek is all the way through. Not like I thought, all the way through. All the time, the person is Oishekim by saying, you never worked for me. It's not excuses back and forth. You never worked for me. And that's what Rav Sheshes really says. Rav Sheshes says, yeah, that Nesativ Lecha, I already gave you. I gave you. That's Oishek. I gave you. Or in a Bai's version, it would be what? He never worked for me. But it's a lie. He lied all the way through. All the way through. That is really called Oishek. He stole through lying. He did not give excuses of back and forth. That is Rav Sheshes. Yeah, let's summarize now. Actually, no. Let's say the third opinion. Then we'll summarize all three opinions and you'll get it much clearer. Rave Omar, third and very, very easy answer. Rave has the easiest answer of them all. Rave Omar, Zeu Oishek, Zeu Gezel. Oishek and Gezel are one and the same. Oishek and Gezel, you can say philosophically, one worse, one better. That Lamai said they're one thing, yeah. Elamai, Velam Chilkan Kosuv. So why did the Torah tell me Oishek and Gezel? If it's the same thing, why is the Torah repeating the same thing twice? I'm giving me synonyms. It's getting literal. Says Lavar all of Mishnei Lavin Upa. So the person who holds back the 20 shekels of the babysitter of the teenager who came to babysit is over in Shnei Lavim, Pashut just to impose on him more lavim. The Torah does it all the time. Shabbos of the Zohar, many times. Yeah, the Torah just gives you more lavim. If the person is not paying, then he's over two lavim, not just one, and he has to know to do more tshuva. Now, so let's summarize. So according to Abaye, Rav is very, let's go backwards. According to Rav, there's one lav, Oishek and Gezel, it's one and the same. It's the same thing twice, extra lavim. According to Abaye, Abaye says both Oishek and Gezel are two different types of lie, and he lied right from the start. He never made excuses and was never aggressive. Either said, I never hired you, that's an Oishek. And if he says, I hired, but I gave you this money, the money that you talk about, I gave you the 1,270 agorot. I gave you, it's more specific. That's called gzela. But Abai says it's lying all the way through. You lied about the salary, saying I already paid you. You over and gezel and oishek in a form of what? That you have to bring the korban. The one that's more complicated is the middle of the road, and that is Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes says as follows. Rav Sheshes believes there are two different stories. When it comes to oishek, the Torah says he stole. How? He lied all the time. All the time he lied right from the start, right from the beginning. And he says, I gave you, before he ever gave him, and never gave him, he says, I gave you. That's Oishek. Because it says when it comes to Beth Din, he keeps the same version as before. He's Oishek all the way through. It's a verb. You're doing the same thing all the time. He says right from the start, I gave you. He comes to Beth Din, and what does he say when his hand is on the Sefer Torah and his Nishba L'Shekel? I gave him. He sticks to his version of the story that he gave until he breaks down and says that he lied. Then he has to give the korban and the chomish. But she'enken by gezel, there are two parts to the story. There was real gezel, that's a noun. Yeah, there is gezel involved. Gezel is not a lie. Gezel is what? I'm holding it. I'm not giving you. That's gezel. He came to Beth Din, and all of a sudden, whoops, everything changed. And he's not saying, I'm refusing to give him. You don't say that to Beth Din. Yeah, they're from people, and you want to have good name in the community. So what did he do? He started saying a different version here that he already gave him. He lied that he gave him, right? Oh, that is Gezel. And the Torah tells you, in both cases, you chayev korban chomesh and korban osham. Very nice. But everyone agrees, by the way, do not let this confuse you. At the end of the day, if we remove the whole korban business, everyone agrees that a person that is holding back money, delaying payment, delaying wages, what about him? Is definitely over Oishek and Gezel. Everyone agrees to Rava. Rava, that there are two lavim, as we said before. We said that in the Brisa. We said before already there are two lavim, if not more, right? Also, you over that say of yes, schar sochir of you should pay on time, bechule. So when you do that, you're over the lavim for sure. That is up until this is where we got up until yesterday with more additions. Now we're going to start the new Mishnah on the same topic, of schar sochir, and I'm going to hear your questions now. Yes. Okay. Now we will continue the Mishnah still in this recording. That's the next Mishnah, and then we're going to see Amud Beis. Says the Heilige Mishnah: Echad schar odom, ve'echad schar behema, ve'echad schar kelim. Ooh, yesh b'mishum be'yom titen schoroi, ve'yesh b'mishum lotolin pula sochi itcho ad boiker. Which means, here the Mishnah is telling me, what happens if the person actually rented out his car? And he said, for you as a friend, he's not Mr. Avis or Hertz, he's just Shloimele, your friend. Yeah, take my car for Ben Azmanim a week. Yeah, and then what? And then he gave back the car. What about the rental fees that you owe me? Tomorrow. He knows how to sing the whole song, or I won't give you, whatever. He's not giving. Then it applies. Both Lav and Asay, both the ganze Parsha of Vayikra and the ganze Parsha of Dvorim, all the Lavim and the Asay of both Parshas, according to our Tana, they all apply to Schar Odom. He himself worked. Echad Schar Behema, his donkey or his cow worked for you. Echad Schar Kelim, yeah, the drill. Yeah, I have a rent-a-drill business. You used it. You should have paid me right away, or up to when? 12 hours, right, after the actual finish of the job. It's already been 12 hours. Bring the deadline of Loitolin, bing, is there, right? Then what? You're over on everything. It's not just human beings' wages. It's also the fees, the rental fees of whatever I rent out, which is a question we're going to learn from Psukim. But that's what our Tana believes. And remember, they believe that both Psukim apply to both people and objects that are being rented out. Both the pasuk of Yomi Titen Schora, the mitzvah sasei, the Yomi Titen Schora, and also the Loi Tolin mentioned in Vayikra, right? Both Vayikra and Dvorim, both parshas which you have on your papers, they all apply to everything. They all apply to human beings and rented objects. That's very simple. That's Tanakama. A Mosai. However, there is a limitation here. When does that apply? Bisman Shetovoi. Once he asked him for the money, if he asked him for the money of the rented car, then the clock starts ticking, and then you're supposed to pay him. From that point onwards, you get loyolin. Loytolin, excuse me. But loytvoy ain't over all of. I'm not going to details now because it's a Mishnah. There are many, many questions here. But right now, we're just reading the Mishnah. As long as they didn't ask you for the money, you're not over. Yeah, in other words, let's say the person, it's a seamstress. You know, she gave your wife a dress. Whatever. She did the stitches, everything very nice. She designed and whatever. So the dress is by your wife, but she never asked for the money, not before, not after. She starts asking for the money only a week later. That point onwards, the clock starts ticking, and you're over on Baltonim. That is the middle. We're not going to the details. We're just reading this now. Third part of the Mishnah, another way of getting out of schar socher loitolin imchau etzel chenvani. Yeah, what does that mean? Let's say the balabais owes the poyalim money. They just painted his house. They just plowed his field, and now he tells them straight away, very honestly, go to Mr. Chenvani, go to the Makolet, go to Moshe, the Chenvani, the Makolet guy, and he will give you, how much do I owe you? I owe you 500 shekels. He will give you food worth 500 shekels, and I'll pay him right away. And he's a good, honest person, yeah? He really means it, yeah? He has like an agreement with Moshe. Moshe should give them 500 worth of food, of grocery, yeah? And he, the Balabais, will give the grocery store at that moment. 1 minute. Oetzel Shulchani, same thing by the banker, by the money changer. Yeah, I don't have cash on me. My credit card is by its owner, the dear wife. So what do you want me to do? Go to the Shulchani, my friend, go to the Merkaz, go to Mr. Who, money changer, banker, and he'll give you the money from my account. At that moment, Eino over Olov. Oh, in other words, once says Rashi's Lashon is Nitkoi Me'etzloi. I'm disconnecting myself by telling you to go to the Chenvani, go to the banker, and it's true that I have an account there. Once I told you that, I am off the hook. The Chenvani didn't give you. The shop is closed. The chenveni is being slow. He's 100 years old. I don't know the story of the chenveni yet. I don't know the whole thing. But the chenveni, it's between the chenveni and the poil. The balabais is off the hook because balabais is really sincere. Yes, he should give you. I'll pay him back. If the chenveni didn't give you, I'm not in charge. I'm already off the story of what? Of loitolin. And as we said yesterday, loitolin is the one off. Only the first day over loitolin or lotov shemesh, whichever one, day or night, you only ever one time. Afterwards, if you start the tomorrow business, you over different lav derabonon, right, of lotashe. That's a different story, not mentioned in the Mishnah. Now, im yesh yeah. Sachir bezmanoi. Here we discuss a different point about shvua. Sachir bezmanoi. We said many times, you tell me guys, usually when there's a tovea and a nitba, there's a plaintiff and another person who's accused, yeah, the one who's blamed. Who is the one who usually does the shvua? Who usually takes shvua? The accused. The accused. I claim something, but the oraisa you say, I owe you 50 out of the 100, shvua doraisa. I bring ed echad, you owe me 1,000, you have to be nishba, v'chule v'chule, right? There are three cases doraisa. What about the rabbonon? Let's revise. What happens if I come to you one sunny day and say you owe me $1,000? Midoraisa, you don't have to be nishba if she says nothing doing. Midorabonon, you have to be nishba shvuas heses. That's chidush of Rav Nachman at the end of Masechet Shvuas Daf Mem, I think. Yeah. Oh, now what? Sometimes though, in Shvuas Daf Mem Hey, no, so Rav Nachman's later. In Shvuas Daf Mem Hey, the Mishnah gives you a whole shebang there, a whole story about certain people in which we turn the tables around. We do hipuch shvua. What happens if I have a guy that I take to Beth Din? I know he owes me money, and the guy is a very well-known shakran, swindler, liar. Yeah, so he cannot be nishba. He's not believed to Beth Din, right? Yeah. So what do? We turn it around. I will take the shvua as a plaintiff, the Takana Rabbanon, and I'll take the money if I'm nishba that he owes me. Rabbanon sometimes turn the tables. One case like that we're going to see right now. Sochir bezmanoi nishba v'noitel, which means, let's say the sochir, the worker, yeah, whichever, per hour, per day, per whatever, yeah. Now the sochir worked all night long, I don't know, baking bread, yeah. Came daytime. During the day is the time the employer is supposed to pay him, and the bell didn't ring yet. It's still okay to pay. That's when you should be paying, right? The next 12 halachic hours until the next shkia. I'm revising, yeah. And during that time, the poil came and told him, Mister, you have to pay me. And the guy says, no, I paid you already, or I don't owe you, whichever way he's koifer. Usually, who has to be nishba? The balabais. Here we made a special takono. If a sochir, bismanu, comes and claims against balabais, the balabais will not take shvua. The one who will take shvua is the sochir, will turn it around, and the sochir, the one claiming the money, the plaintiff, he will come take a shvua that he wasn't paid and take it from balabais. Why? You know why? Because we say balabais torud befoilov, which means we assume, you can ask a lot of questions here, what and if and this. Generally speaking, you employ more than one person. Most companies, maybe today, have one-man band, we do. Most companies employ more than one person, and payday is a big headache. They have to pay 500 to him, 5,000 to him, and pay the this and that and the supplier. So he's confused. He's a nice guy, Mr. Employer, but we don't believe it's shvua, not because he's a liar, because he's like too confused about who he paid, who didn't pay. So could be he thinks that he paid and he really didn't, because he's too much in the middle of the balagan of the jungle of payday, with all the Excel sheets and all the this and that. So, we leave you alone. And we believe both people are generally trustworthy because they are cheskas kashrus, not the case of the liar. So we turn it around and we tell Mr. Worker, you take the shvua and claim the money with the shvua that you're not paid. Let me finish the Mishnah, please. Yeah, and I'll hear you. Now, over zmanoi. What happens after the dust settled? Over zmanoi already. Let's say now, in our case, he has to be paid all day long. Nighttime came, bling. Nighttime came, and then the poel approached the balabais, Mr. Choshev, a CEO of the bakery, and says, please pay me, and you didn't pay me. Eino nishba v'noitel. Then we believe the balabais. Why? Believe the balabais. I don't know the whole Gemara later on, but in general I know, also from Shuas and from Eino nishba v'noitel means that later on, no, you can't say the balabais is not trustworthy because he doesn't know what's going on, and I'll take it with the shua. Because first of all, balabais is not nechsha to be over baltalin. Although today, unfortunately, it's I don't know, but generally people are not nechshad. We assume that if pay time, if deadline of Isur Doraisa, 5 Isur Doraisa, that bell already rang, we assume Balabais probably paid and we believe him, possibly with the Shvuas Eses, but we believe him. And secondly, it's not so confusing anymore. While he's in the middle of paying 500 people, oh, cash this supply, he doesn't know what's going on. Once already it's settled, he had time to drink his coffee, sit with the computer with the Excel sheets, and now he knows who paid, who didn't pay. We believe him already because it's already quieter time. Also, he's believed to not be over Doraisa. That's a general idea. The Gemara will discuss more. Now, if there are edim, if there are witnesses that say that he was tovea during this man, then he is nishba v'noitel. If edim came and said, we saw that he claimed it at the time of during the day when he was supposed to pay before the deadline, then even afterwards he will take the shvua, the worker, and take it from Balabais. Why? I don't know. Rashi says the Gemara will explain. Now comes the last part, which we have to know. The last part and the first part are correlated, and this last part is extremely crucial for the upcoming. Believe me, I'll listen to you when we finish just one more line. Ger Toishav. How did the Mishnah begin? The Mishnah began with what? What kind of agreements does Baal Tolin apply to, right? Is it just human beings' wages for working, for schlepping, for baking? Or is it also for renting your car and your donkey, right? We said it's both. All these surim apply to both. Now the question is, what kind of person does it apply to? A Yid, a Mackenzie, somewhere in between? Says the Mishnah, Ger Toishov. What's a Ger Toishov? A Ger Toishov is not a Jew. However, he accepted upon himself, according to Rashi, not to worship Avodah Zarah. According to most Rishonim, he accepted upon himself the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. He had the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. He accepted in Beis Din. He's not like a moral, nice American guy. He's a guy who accepted the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach as part of the Jewish religion. I'm not Jewish, but I keep those Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. That's a Ger Toishav. Why is it called Toishav? Because he's allowed to live in Eretz Yisrael. And Avodah Zarah is not allowed to live in Eretz Yisrael. So the Ger Toishav is a goy that has a much higher status in halacha. Yesh ba mishum b'yoyim titen schor. Listen to this. The yoyim titen schoroi applies to him. The psukim in Devarim, they apply to who? To that Ger Toishav. The yoyim titen schoroi, and you can look in your list. The other ideas there, yoyim titen schoroi, lo tov lo v'shemesh, they apply to a goy. Why? To a goy Ger Toishav. Because it says Gercha asher ba'artzecha. He's a ger in your land. Oh, he's a ger in your land. He's a ger who lives in your land. It's not a ger, the Rosh Hashiva, who was born in Goy and became a ger tzedek. It's a ger toishav. Halacha applies to him. However, the ein b'mishum lo tolin pu'asachir tchad boiker. The pasuk in Vayikra, the first part in your chart, in your list, the pasuk of Pe'ula Sochir should not lie in your house overnight does not apply to a Ger Toishav. Why? What's the difference? Good question. But the psukim denote that because the psukim that include the Ger Toishav are only the psukim of what? Of Lo Tov Lo V'Shemesh. Lo Tov Lo V'Shemesh. Lo Tolin doesn't apply to Ger Toishav. Mashe'enken, remember the first part? Behema Kelim, I rent a car, rent a person, hire a person. All psukim from all over, all the lavim and all the esim, they all apply to everything. When it comes to a Ger Toishav, only part applies and not the other part, as we're going to see in the Gemara. You've been very patient, and soon we're going to start the Gemara. Okay. At this point, we're finishing the recording. We're starting the Gemara now, and tomorrow we're continuing the Shiur. Shiur goes on into the Gemara. The recording finishes here. There'll be a new recording tomorrow. Thank you very much. Tzloch Rabba to those who view us at home. Thank you. But we're continuing this year. Okay.